Let me tell you something real quick. This world don't teach you how to be a man. It teaches you how to chase power, chase money, chase ego. But it don't teach you how to lead a family. It don't teach you how to hold your home down with honor, with strength, with purpose. That's why we got boys out here in grown men's bodies, building kingdoms on sand, folding under pressure, and wondering why everything keeps falling apart. You want to know why marriages are failing, why homes are broken, why children growing up lost in the streets, looking for fathers in places that only offer pain. It's because too many men want to be kings, but they don't want to carry the cross. They want to rule, but they don't want to serve. They want to be loud, but they don't want to lead. Being a husband, a biblical husband, ain't soft, it ain't weak. It ain't about control, it's about covering. It's about stepping up when the weight gets heavy. It's about being the last one to eat, the first one to fight, the one who never walks away, no matter how hard it gets. I ain't here to sugarcoat nothing. I'm here to tell the truth. If you ain't built to carry something bigger than yourself, if you think manhood is flexing online and disappearing when things get real, then this ain't for you. But if you're tired of repeating the same cycles, tired of watching your house crumble while you blame everybody else, tired of being spiritually broke even when your pocket's full, then listen close. Because what I'm about to tell you, it ain't from no Instagram reel. This is deeper than a post or a podcast. This is truth that'll save your family, restore your calling, and make you a real man in a fake world. So don't move, don't scroll, don't zone out, because the roles I'm about to break down, they ain't optional, they ain't trendy. They're mandatory for any man who wants to walk in power, in purpose, and in legacy. You ready? Let's talk about what it really means to be a biblical husband. The first thing a real husband has to understand is covering. I ain't talking about buying the groceries or paying rent, even though that's part of your grind. I'm talking about spiritual covering, emotional covering, mental protection. See, you ain't just the man of the house. You the umbrella when the storm hits. You the front line when the devil comes knocking on your family's door. Too many men out here think that because they bring home a paycheck, they've done their job. Let me ask you, what good is bread on the table if the house is spiritually starving? What good is a luxury car in the driveway if your wife's spirit is withering? What good is flexing on social media if your home is cold, silent, and broken? A real man don't just protect the body of his family, he covers the soul. You see, when God made Eve, he didn't just toss her to Adam like a bonus prize. He pulled her out of Adam's rib. That's deep. Not from his head to rule him, not from his feet to be trampled on, but from his side under his arm, close to his heart. That's where a husband's role begins. You protect what's close. You cover what's sacred. You fight for what matters. Covering means being aware, not ignorant. It means you watch over your family, even when nobody else is looking. It means you pray when nobody sees. You fast in secret. You show restraint. You take spiritual responsibility, even when things ain't your fault. That's leadership. And that's where most men fail. They want the crown, not the burden. They want authority without accountability. They want their wife to submit, but they ain't submitted to God themselves. That ain't leadership. That's dictatorship. Real covering ain't loud. It ain't controlling. It ain't barking orders or putting fear in the house. Covering means creating an environment where peace can breathe, where your wife can rest, where your kids feel safe, not just from danger, but from you. Yeah, I said it. Some men are the storm in their house, not the shield. Some of y'all harder on your family than you ever were on the streets. You show more loyalty to your crew than your kids, more patience for strangers than your own wife. And then you wonder why nothing feels right. Your role is to cover, not just control. When your wife is overwhelmed, your covering steps in, not to fix everything, but to be present, to listen, to lift. When your kids don't know how to express their pain, your covering creates a space where they can talk, where they ain't judged, just guided. When the world is pressing in and the enemy's whispering lies in your home, you stand in the gap. You don't retreat. You don't fold. You fight in prayer. You fight in faith. And you fight in silence when necessary. Let me tell you something. They won't always say thank you. They might not always see what you're doing. But your covering ain't about applause. It's about assignment. It's about obedience. You do it because you're called to it. Because you understand that your presence is power. That your stability sets the tone. That your decisions echo for generations. Every decision you make as a husband, what you say, what you allow, what you ignore, it's seed. And what you plant today, your children will eat tomorrow. So ask yourself, what kind of legacy are you sowing in your silence? What kind of future are you building when you let passivity lead? Because if you don't cover your home, the enemy will. And believe me, he ain't waiting on an invitation. He's waiting on your absence. Covering means you're the first to repent. You're the first to forgive. You're the first to say, I was wrong. That ain't weakness. That's power under control. That's what kings do. That's what warriors do. That's what Christ did. And don't get it twisted. It's going to cost you. You can't cover something and still be selfish. You can't cover your family and still be chasing every distraction, every woman, every fantasy that promises you power but leaves you empty. You got to die to yourself daily. Your pride, your ego, your lust, your need to always be right. Because covering means sacrificing who you were for the sake of who they need you to be. And if you ain't ready to bleed for your family, you ain't ready to lead one. Covering also means knowing who's around your home. Not just physically, but spiritually. Some of y'all let voices speak into your family that should have been cut off a long time ago. You let old habits stay in your closet like they ain't poison. You entertain confusion like it's harmless. But a real man discerns what don't belong. And when he sees it, he don't negotiate. He removes it. You protect your wife's heart like it's sacred ground. You guard your children's mind like it's treasure. You cover your home with the word like it's armor. You don't just react to chaos. You prevent it. You set the standard. You live the example. And maybe you ain't have a father show you this. Maybe nobody taught you how to cover a family. But that don't mean you can't start now. That don't mean God can't raise you up to be the first link in the chain of healing. Just because you were raised in dysfunction doesn't mean you got to repeat it. Let your house be the one where the curse breaks, where the chaos stops, where peace begins. And that starts with you. So when I say your first role as a biblical husband is to cover, it's deeper than duty. It's deeper than status. It's a covenant. It's a calling. And if you walk in it with humility, with power, with faith, you won't just build a house. Leadership ain't about titles. It ain't about flexing or being loud. It ain't about who talks the most or who walks around the house acting like they run everything. Leadership is what you do when no one's looking. It's the weight you carry that nobody claps for. It's waking up every day knowing your decisions ain't just yours. They impact everybody who shares your name. When you step into marriage, you step into assignment. You can't just coast through life on autopilot anymore. You're not a boy out here chasing whatever makes you feel good. You're a man now, and real men lead. A biblical husband ain't somebody that demands respect. He earns it, not by forcing it, not by raising his voice, but by setting the example. By walking the walk even when it's hard. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you mess up, you own it. When pressure comes, you don't run, you stand. See, most dudes think leading is just about making all the decisions. But leadership ain't control. It's responsibility. It's accountability. It's being the one that gets the blame when stuff goes sideways, even when it ain't your fault. And you take it. You own it. That's what real strength looks like. You want to lead your wife. Show her consistency. You want to lead your kids. Show up when it ain't convenient. You can't be hot today, cold tomorrow, spiritual on Sunday, but wild and out by Tuesday. That ain't leadership. That's confusion. And confusion don't lead, it scatters. It weakens the house. You set the tone. Your attitude becomes the atmosphere. If you're bitter, your home feels cold. If you're angry, your kids grow up nervous. If you're disconnected, your wife feels like she's walking alone. But if you're steady, if you're grounded in the Word, if you move in love and truth, then your house starts to heal. Your home starts to grow. It don't mean you're perfect, but it means you're anchored. And let's not lie. Leadership gets lonely. Sometimes you'll be the only one praying. Sometimes you'll be the only one fasting. Sometimes you'll be the only one in the house choosing peace when everybody else is choosing war. But that's the cost of leadership. You don't lead from comfort. You lead from conviction. A lot of men duck leadership because they're afraid to fail. They're afraid to admit they don't have all the answers. Let me tell you something. Nobody expects you to be perfect, but they do expect you to be present. They do expect you to try. They do expect you to stay in the fight, even when it's rough. You don't quit on your family because things got hard. That's what the enemy wants you to do. But when you lead through the storm, your family starts to trust you not just with their life, but with their heart. That's why you got to be led by something bigger than your own mind. If God ain't leading you, you're leading them into a ditch. You can't pour out wisdom if you ain't filled up with it. You can't lead with peace if you ain't got no peace in your own soul. That's why leadership starts in prayer. Leadership starts in the Word. It starts with surrender. You don't lead with ego. You lead with humility. And that's where most men mess up. They lead from pain, not purpose. From trauma, not truth. And that pain bleeds into everything. How you talk, how you discipline, how you love. Some of y'all watched bad leadership growing up. You saw men who yelled, men who cheated, men who left, men who abused. So you think that's what leadership looks like. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right. God didn't call you to repeat the curse. He called you break-ins, leading different. That means loving different. That means starting a new pattern, even when it feels uncomfortable. Leading your family means making tough calls sometimes. It means saying no to stuff that looks good, but ain't good. It means protecting your time, setting boundaries, turning off distractions so you can be fully present. Your wife don't just need your money. She needs your attention. Your kids don't need another toy. They need your presence. They need your voice, your approval, your wisdom. If you don't give it to them, they'll find it somewhere else. And believe me, what they find out there, it ain't always built on truth. You think leadership is about being served? It's about serving. The greatest leaders laid down their life. The strongest husbands are the ones that put others first, even when they're tired, even when they're misunderstood, even when they feel unappreciated. Leadership don't always feel rewarding, but it is fruitful. It produces peace. It brings order. It builds strength in your family, not just for today, but for generations. You might be leading a family that's broken. You might be leading after you already messed up. You might be leading with regrets. That's okay. Start where you are. Leadership don't require a perfect past. It just needs a willing heart and a surrendered spirit. God can use anybody who says, So if you got breath in your lungs, if you still got time on this earth, then you got a shot to lead well. You got a shot to turn it around. Don't let your pain speak louder than your purpose. Don't let your fears keep you on the sidelines. Step up, step in, because your family ain't just looking for a man. They're looking for a leader. Let me tell you something real. When God calls you to be a husband, he ain't just calling you to be a provider or a lover. He's calling you to be a protector. That don't just mean throwing hands if somebody runs up on your family. Nah, that's surface level stuff. Protection runs deep. It's spiritual. It's emotional. It's mental. It's about guarding your house, not just with your body, but with your spirit. When you walk into your home, you got to ask yourself, am I the reason my house feels safe? Or am I the reason it feels shaken? Because too many men out here think they're being strong by being loud. They think they're protecting by controlling. But protection ain't control. It's covering. It's being a shield, not a sword. It's saying, you can rest, I got you. See, protecting your family ain't just about defending them from the outside world. It's also about protecting them from you when you're not right. When your temper's up, when your mind's stressed, when your trauma's knocking at the door. Real strength is being able to recognize the storm inside of you before it floods everybody else. You can't lead and protect if you ain't healed. You'll end up hurting the very people you swore to keep safe. Protection means you don't let the devil sneak in your house through things you ignore. That means being aware. That means being present. That means watching what your kids are watching, what's influencing your wife, what kind of spirit is being invited in through your silence. You can't be passive and protect at the same time. You got to be alert. You got to be bold. You got to be ready to fight, not with fists, but with prayer, with discipline, with truth. Your wife shouldn't feel like she got to fight for your attention. She shouldn't feel like she's spiritually exposed while you're out chasing validation, money, or ego. You're supposed to be the watchman of your home, the one who sees what's coming before it arrives, the one who prays when no one else is praying, the one who holds the line when everything's trying to tear your house apart. It's easy to look strong on the outside, flex the muscles, talk loud, walk tall. But real strength is when you stand between your family and chaos. When you fight demons in the dark that nobody knows about. When you guard your wife's heart so she don't have to build walls to protect herself from you. When you protect her peace, her identity, her calling, because she's your partner, not your property. You don't protect her by dimming her light. You protect her by being a safe place for it to shine. Some of y'all never saw what that looked like. You never had a father who covered. Maybe your home was loud, violent, unstable. Maybe protection was just a word with no meaning. And now you out here trying to protect your family, but nobody ever showed you how. Listen, you don't need a perfect past to build a protected future. What you need is a new mindset, a new commitment. You got to decide today that your wife and kids will never know the pain you knew. They'll never feel the chaos you lived in. And every day you wake up and you build that protection, brick by brick. That means protecting them from poverty, yes, but also from poverty of the soul. That means working hard, but also showing love. That means getting the bag, but not at the cost of your presence. Your family don't need just what's in your wallet. They need what's in your heart, your time, your wisdom, your softness, your strength, all of it. When your daughter looks at you, she should feel security in her soul. When your son watches you, he should see how a man moves when he's rooted in God, not just in hustle. And your wife, she should feel like she can exhale when you're around, not like she got to brace herself. You protect by how you carry yourself, by what you entertain, By what you allow and what you reject, you set the boundaries. You guard the gate. And don't get it twisted. Protection ain't about never falling. It's about being the kind of man who knows how to get back up, clean his wounds, and still stand guard. Even when it's hard, even when nobody claps, even when it feels like the weight's too heavy, you still show up. You still protect, because they're worth it. And because deep down, you know you were built for this. God didn't make you a husband so you could be passive. He made you a husband to be a wall, a shelter, a shadow they can hide under when life hits hard. You protect not just with strength, but with your presence, your calm, your consistency, your ability to say, I got this, and mean it. So if you ain't been protecting the way you should, don't run. Don't get stuck in shame. Just start today. Speak life. Set boundaries. Pray over your family. Get rid of what don't belong. Be the man they trust with their fears. Be the covering they don't have to question. Because if you don't protect your family, the world will prey on them. And that ain't gonna happen on your watch. When you hear the word leader, some of y'all immediately think about power, about being in charge, about calling the shots. But leadership, in the way a man is called to lead his household, don't start with domination. It starts with direction. And it ain't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the one who walks ahead, even when it's hard, even when nobody's clapping, even when it feels like everybody else gets to rest. You gotta carry. Being the leader of your home means you carry weight, not throw it around. You carry pressure, decisions, responsibility. You carry the future in your hands and make sure your family don't have to carry fear. That's what leadership looks like when it's real. It's not ego-driven. It's purpose-driven. You're not just doing what feels good. You're doing what guides. You see, a husband that leads with wisdom don't just react. He plans, he listens. He studies the terrain before making a move. It's not enough to say, I'm the man. Anybody can say that. But can you say, follow me, and actually be walking towards something worth following? Because your wife and your kids, they're not just watching what you say, they're watching where you step. Every move you make is teaching them what to run toward and what to run from. A biblical leader leads with love, not fear. It means you don't bully your way through decisions. You don't crush people to get control. You don't treat your wife like she's beneath you. You treat her like she's with you. Like y'all are walking this out together. Like her voice matters. Because real leadership don't silence, it invites, it builds trust. It makes room for growth. A man who leads with love ain't afraid of being questioned. He ain't fragile. He don't need constant validation. His confidence comes from God, not applause. He knows his position came with a mission. He ain't here for status. He's here for stewardship. He ain't flexing power. He's managing purpose. That's leadership on another level. Leadership also means being the first to apologize. Yeah, the first. A weak man blames. A strong man owns it. You make the mistake. Own it. You raised your voice when you shouldn't have. Own it. You let your pride speak louder than your peace. Own it. That's what your family respects. That's what your wife needs. That's what your kids will remember. Not perfection, but honesty. Leading your house means leading spiritually, too. And this part's critical. You ain't just leading them through bills and goals. You're leading them through storms, temptations, seasons of silence. When the world's pulling on your family from every direction, you gotta be the one holding the compass. You gotta know where true north is. You gotta stay rooted when everything else is drifting. That means staying in prayer, staying in the Word, listening before you speak, sacrificing when it costs you something. Because how can you lead people to peace when you ain't got any inside of you? How can you lead them through the fire when you panic at the first flame? You got to get solid deep down, grounded. You got to deal with your demons in the dark so your family don't suffer in the light. You got to make healing a habit, not just a hope. Because when you're leading, your household becomes the echo of your own internal condition. And if you ain't leading, trust me, something else is. Culture, chaos, confusion. Your silence is never neutral. When a man refuses to lead, something else will rise up and take his place. And it usually don't come from God. It comes from what's easiest, what's loudest, or what's most convenient. And a real leader knows if I don't fight for the future of my house, somebody else will rewrite it for me. Don't mean leadership will always feel good. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's heavy. But you were built for this. You were wired to walk with conviction, to speak life into dead places, to create stability where there used to be chaos. You are not just a husband. You are a builder of legacy, a builder of safety, a builder of belief. Your family is watching how you respond when things fall apart. They're watching if you curse the crisis or create a path forward. They're watching if you fold under pressure or rise with prayer. They're watching if your leadership is rooted in God or in fear. You ain't just leading by what you do. You're leading by what you refuse to do too. You refuse to quit. You refuse to settle. You refuse to be like the men who disappeared when life got hard. Don't just aim to lead with power. Lead with purpose. Lead with grace. Lead with truth. Lead in such a way that your family looks back and says, "Hey, led us with strength, but we never felt crushed. He led with vision, but we never felt lost. He led with love, and we always felt covered." That's the kind of leadership the world needs more of. Not flashy, not perfect, just faithful. Lead like everything depends on it, because it does.